The correspondence from the President of the Transitional Presidential Council, CPT, Fritz Alphonse Jean, to Prime Minister Alex Didier Fils-Aimé, is interpreted as an implicit denunciation of corruption and lack of transparency at the highest levels of the state. The letter raises serious concerns that are classic indicators of corruption risks or serious mismanagement. Here is why it constitutes a denunciation: ignorance and lack of access to information. The fact that the CPT is unaware of a crucial matter, such as the renewal of the contract with CPS, and has to request the documents, indicates a deliberate lack of transparency or exclusion from oversight and decision-making bodies, which is conducive to corruption. Renewal of the contract with Caribbean Port Services, CPS. Unusually long contract duration. The proposal to renew a contract for beyond 25 years or 3 times the normal 9-year renewal period is a major red flag. Contracts of this duration can be used to lock in arrangements favorable to specific parties, bypass competition processes, and potentially conceal under-the-table deals or illegal agreements. The unusually long duration of the contract requires rigorous justification. It is crucial to examine the clauses of this contract, the reasons for such an extended renewal, the performance history of CPS, and the existence of fair competition to avoid any suspicion of favoritism or corruption. The lack of prior information to the CPT on such an important matter is also concerning. Protection of the interests of the Haitian state in the SIOP SA, Hotel Oasis, file. Threat to state assets. The situation of SIOP SA, where nearly $17 million of assets from these 3 state institutions are exposed due to the company's inability to meet its financial obligations, suggests poor management, risky or fraudulent investments that have jeopardized public funds. The financial failure of an entity in which state institutions have significant investments raises questions about the due diligence exercised during the initial investments, risk management, and asset monitoring. It is essential to determine the causes of this situation, whether irregularities occurred in the management of SIOP SA, and if adequate measures are being taken to protect public funds. Inaction or a delayed response could indicate negligence or complicity. Passport production system. Issues in sensitive services. The serious deadlock in the passport production system, a national security document, and the request for tender files indicate doubts about the integrity and efficiency of public procurement and operational management processes. Poorly negotiated contracts, or corruption in the service acquisition process. The request for tender files is crucial to verify transparency, fairness, and compliance of the provider selection procedures. Any irregularity in tenders could indicate corrupt practices. Extraordinary measures to combat insecurity. Lack of accountability for security funds. The absence of information that allows for analyzing and assessing the expected results of initiatives taken in relation to the resources committed for the operation of the task force is a major concern. Funds dedicated to security, especially in crisis contexts, are often prime targets for misappropriation if monitoring and accountability are insufficient. Evaluating the effectiveness and efficiency of expenditures relative to the results achieved is essential to ensure that the funds allocated to security truly benefit the population and are not diverted. A lack of transparency regarding fund usage and the absence of tangible results can be indicators of corruption. Leve Campe recommends an investigation by ULCC, UCREF, Transparency International, and other independent anti-corruption organizations. For each issue raised, it is imperative to demand total transparency, insist on the immediate provision of all requested documents and explanations. Any delay or reluctance to provide information should be considered an additional warning signal. Conduct in-depth audits. If the received information is unsatisfactory, independent financial and operational audits should be initiated for each case, particularly for the CPS contract and investments in SIOP SA. Verify procedure compliance. For the CPS contract and the passport system, a thorough verification of the bidding and procurement procedures is essential to ensure compliance with laws and best governance practices. Hold actors accountable. Identify responsibilities in cases of mismanagement, negligence, or corruption. Legal proceedings should be considered if evidence of misconduct is discovered. Strengthen internal controls. Recommend the implementation or reinforcement of internal control mechanisms within state institutions to prevent similar future situations and ensure sound management of public funds. Communicate to the public. Once investigations are completed, transparently communicate the results to the public to restore trust and demonstrate the state's commitment to fighting corruption. Leve Campe calls for increased vigilance on these issues to protect the interests of the Haitian state and to ensure the responsible and honest use of public resources. Combit Leve Campe is for a credible transition led by a transition president and a consensus prime minister, inspired by the leadership of the university, civil society, the Court of Cassation, and the press. Your courage to speak out is the first step toward change because together we are strong. With faith and solidarity, Samuel Moreau, spokesperson for Combit Leve Campe. Share this message. Every Haitian's voice matters. Share your vision on these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok of Combit Leve Campe. Thank you.